What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledPeople. This story's called, My Neighbor Called the Cops Because We Decided to Clean Our Apartment. I am so glad that I found this sub because I am dying to tell this story. So my boyfriend and I moved into an apartment in August. It's older, so the floors are super creaky. According to our lease, we're obligated to cover 90% of any room with carpet, except the bathroom and kitchen, to help with the noise. It turns out our apartment was previously managed as a dorm by the local college, so the floors already have a layer of super thin, crappy carpet. We also laid down more rugs to help with noise cancellation. Our downstairs neighbor moves in about a month later, and within a month of that, starts banging on her ceiling when we get too rowdy. The first couple of times, it happened super late in the living room. Our apartments have the same floor plan. We were moving around after midnight the first time. Later, she came to talk to us and asked us to keep it down at night. Sure, fair enough. The next time was when we walked in from the airport at 10 p.m. She came up, banged on the door, and talked over my explanation. I told her I was sorry and asked when she was hearing the noise, assuming it was just the cat running around at night. No, she tells me that she knows it's not the cat, she knows it's us, and she doesn't live alone. Okay, weird, but whatever. We started going to bed earlier as we settled into the apartment and our jobs, but the banging only continued. For months, she would hit her ceiling or our floor whenever we walked around. Bed at 10? Bang! Wake up at 5:30 for work? Bang! Sitting on the couch but decides you want snacks? Bang! Around Christmas, she comes up to our door again. My boyfriend answered, and this time I recorded, and I'm so glad I did. This woman came up and looked my boyfriend in the eye and said, "You have to stop following me." What? I know it's not the cat or the dog or your girlfriend because I know your footsteps and I don't know how you figured it out, but you figured out how to listen to where I am and you're following me around my apartment and I'm sick of it. My boyfriend calmly explained that she sounds crazy and that we don't care about her. She again reminded us that she doesn't live alone. Her boyfriend is a small Latino man in his 60s who is very polite and has never said a word to us. Cool, she's insane, whatever. The banging continued with us stomping every time we heard it. She didn't like that, but it made it more fun. We had already explained the situation to the landlord and the super, and they were on our side. Our town was the first in the United States to be locked down under quarantine. So for the first few days, the banging gradually increased until one day, this woman lost her mind. I'll admit that we are early risers on the weekends. On this particular Sunday, we ended up waking up super early, but not doing much for the first few hours. We drank some coffee and sat on the couch until almost 11. At that point, we decided to get up and clean the apartment. Homegirl went ape feces. She had to be running from one end of her apartment to the other. She's banging on her ceiling so hard that we're convinced she's damaging it. At one point, I hear what sounds like muffled yelling after she followed me into the bedroom. We had plans that day, so we ignored her, finished cleaning, and started to leave. She must have been waiting for us to leave because for the first time ever, she walked out of her apartment right as we go to her landing. I was holding the dog while waiting for my boyfriend to come down as she starts to descend the stairs. Of course, she decides to turn around and say something. "Tell your boyfriend to cut it out!" Cut what out? Walking? You're hitting the ceiling fan because of me and the dog moving, not him. You're a liar. Your boyfriend's following me and I made chili last night and I can't have chili because beans make me very, very gassy and it's all your fault. My boyfriend gets down to me. She proceeded to stay exactly 3 steps ahead of him, slowing us all the way down the stairs. She tried to block us going out the door at the bottom, but backed off when he just didn't stop moving. My voice sounded weird because I had a burp coming. She's continuing to yell at him all the way to the parking lot. Of myself and my boyfriend, he's typically the hothead while I'm the calm one. Amazingly, he kept his calm the whole time, calling her only a crazy lady and ignoring her as he walked past her and her car to the dumpster. As I passed her car, she decided to continue talking at me, and I was just pissed not to engage.
I'm serious, it's done!
Okay, what do you want us to do? Crawl? I already told you, we have a 60-pound dog and we're all just walking around. She's talking while I talk so I don't hear everything.
And you need to remember that I don't live alone.
Okay, woman, neither do I. You see my boyfriend right there, so what's your point? Oh, by the way, that's the third or fourth time you've said that, and that could be taken as a threat.
You think it's a threat? Fine, it is.
Cool, I'm calling the cops.
Okay, me too.
We both call the cops and they pull up. They talk to her first and then come talk to us. I don't know what she told them, but when they came to talk to us, I told them everything she'd said and done for the past 6 months. The officer explained that it was a civil matter that would have to be dealt with by the landlord, but assured us that they explained to her that it is perfectly acceptable to walk around your apartment at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. They also told her not to knock on our door ever again, and that she's not allowed to bang on our floor over footsteps at any point. For a couple of nights, she got back at us by banging at 1:30 a.m. to wake us up. We had already reached out to our landlord again, and this time, he told us he'd see what her problem is. That's still not the last of his troubles with her, though. We ended up talking to the people that live below her and telling them about the banging. It turns out they've heard it this whole time and had no idea what it was. Now that they know, they've also reported her to the landlord. The banging has stopped. We don't expect her lease to be renewed, and we may end up in a better apartment in the next couple of months.
Edit.
A few comments have tried to paint my neighbor as an innocent in this. I want to clarify that she made direct threats to me when I apologized and told her we'd take care of it. That was the first time she met me, and all I did was apologize and say we'd fix it. She was never trying to be friendly and work it out. We have never engaged her, we have never provoked her. I'm sorry, but your happiness and functional relationship is a direct freaking insult to that Karen, you know that? That's why they want to take our switches. They hate happiness, and you are a glowing mass of it. That was a good analogy. And she's a moth. That might be out of order, but I don't care. This story's called Entitled Idiot is Upset Because My Husband is Married. When my now adult daughter was almost 3, we had a regular monthly family dinner plan. We would go to a used bookstore that was near a Mexican place we liked and a McDonald's which our kids liked. The Mexican restaurant would let us sit on the porch and bring Happy Meals there for the kids. One night, our son, older than our daughter, was at a sleepover, so we were a party of 3. After eating, we went to the used bookstore. We had a stroller with us so our daughter could sit in it if she got too tired. She was an easy kid who would just climb into the little stroller and chill or snooze if we were not done browsing. I was looking at cookbooks while my husband was in the kids section with our daughter. I noticed some redhead chick talking to my husband. I went back to the books for a couple of minutes, and when I look up, the woman is still talking, but more talking at him than to him. He was starting to look very uncomfortable. I can tell she is hitting on him by the way he held up his hand and pointed at his wedding ring. Being me, I let this play out for a few minutes, mostly to laugh about it with him later. As I watch, my daughter goes to him and wraps her arms around him. She gives this woman the nastiest look I had ever seen on her face. I start walking over because I can tell that my daughter is about to say something to this woman that I will either laugh at or need to intervene because of. As I get almost to them, my daughter tells the woman that her daddy already has a mommy for her, and if she doesn't get away from him, she's going to puke on her. My daughter has always had the ability to vomit at will. She had already weaponized it against one of my male relatives with a weak stomach. The woman, not knowing I was behind her, told my daughter that her daddy didn't have a mommy to go with him, and daddies needed mommies. My daughter looked at me with a look that clearly stated,
She is an idiot! Get her away from me now!
I walked past the woman and up to my husband. I put my arm around him and lean into him. Then I put my hand, wearing my wedding ring, up on his chest as I look at her. The redhead doesn't have the sense to just leave the area. She had to start a rant about how I should have been right by him if I wanted to keep him. How he should go with her and divorce me because she would never be away from him, and how I don't deserve a man and she does, so she is just going to replace me and raise my kids as her own. What the hell? I looked up at my husband and asked how he kept getting the weirdos that have elevators that don't go all the way up to want to replace me. Red-headed chick loses it and starts saying she wants to fight me over him. That whichever one of us wins will get to keep him. I asked her if she seriously thought that I would bother with a fight. He was already mine, and I don't believe in fights. I just shoot to kill. Then this lunatic starts screaming that I am trying to kill her. At that point, my daughter had enough. She walked over to the lady and waited until the stupid woman bent down to talk to her. Then my daughter puked all over her and sort of up onto her neck so that when she stood, lots of it ran down her shirt. Staff was already on the way over and wanted to know why the lady was screaming. I told them that she was hitting on my husband and then wanted to fight me for him. I didn't know why she suddenly started saying that I wanted to kill her to shoot her. I didn't even own a gun. She was just being an idiot. Then she got my daughter all upset, so my daughter puked. I cleaned our daughter up and had her rinse out her mouth. On the way home, my husband insisted we stop and buy her some ice cream. When I asked my daughter why she thought she needed to puke on this lady, my daughter told me that we had already wasted enough time talking and it clearly wasn't going anywhere. So she ended it. My daughter has always had a way of cutting through the garbage in life. Interesting dialogue for a 3-year-old, but okay. This story was wild. Who does that? Like, I could almost understand if it was like, a period of months that this went on over. But they had literally known each other for a few minutes and she was trying to... whatever. But the whole vomiting on command thing, I accidentally discovered it while recording for this very channel. It's very easy. But every time I have to do a fat people story voice, I have to do this weird thing, and it activates my gag reflex super freaking hard. And so I literally vomited on my freaking pop filter at one point. It was disgusting. But yeah, all you gotta do is like tease your gag reflex with your throat stuff, and it works. And like, I just did it. But like, don't do it because it sucks. This story's called My Wife is a Thug. My wife and I are senior citizens. In other words, we are old. My dear wife is a strong, independent, take no crap from anyone type of woman. I adore her for it. She keeps me in line, pushes me to be a better man, and is the reason behind my modest success in life. She is sarcastic, is wicked smart, can cuss like a sailor, and as she gets older, her filter is practically non-existent. A few months ago, we decided to treat ourselves. We made reservations and went to a rather high-end restaurant. They had a maitre d', sommeliers, highly trained waitstaff, etc. My wife, even though she is in her early 70s, has very little gray hair and can pass for 55. She was wearing a very pretty white lacy blouse, very flattering black pants, and black flats. She looked good! When we arrived, there was no line. surprisingly, and the maitre d' had apparently stepped away from the podium where he stands. We were waiting there, and my wife was right next to the podium, and I had sat down at one of the benches provided by the entrance, when another couple came in. Without missing a beat, the man walked up to the podium and told my wife, "Rockefeller," not the name he used, "we have reservations for two." My wife said that she was sure someone would be with them shortly. The woman huffed a little and the man said, "Please, seat us now." My wife told them that she is waiting to be seated, but the man said again, "Seat us now." So my wife said,
Right away. Walk this way."
She walked away with them behind her as she walked around the partition separating the entrance to the dining area, circled around to the other end and led them back to the entrance and, pointing to the bench, said,
"Sit down."
The man looked like he was going to blow a gasket, and my wife repeated,
"I don't work here, you moron. You wanted me to seat you, so sit the fudge
down." I almost slipped there. As the couple was sputtering, and before it could escalate to further, the maitre d' arrived. We gave our name, and he led us away. There was no yelling and no threats of police. We had a wonderful meal, overpriced, but oh well. And the other couple was several tables away from us. We didn't interact again with them, but they did shoot us dirty looks now and then. Now, before you say my wife overreacted and could have explained that she didn't work there in a better way, she has a wicked sense of humor and hates idiots. She loves being a smartass and is so good at it. One of the reasons that I, after being with her all these years, still love being put in my place by her when I start getting a little too misogynistic. That sounds like a hot marriage. It sounds sarcastic, but it's not. This story's called Karen Outs Herself as Office Food Thief. I work IT at a small nonprofit. We have a kitchen staff room and supply free coffee, tea, milk, sugar, etc. During the pandemic, all staff were working from home. But for the past few weeks, some staff have been coming back gradually. Most for just 1 to 2 days a week, including myself and, unfortunately, Karen. Now, Karen and I have had many run-ins over the years, and suffice to say, we don't get along. I don't tolerate her bullschnozzle. A week or so after being back, Karen sends a condescending email to the office manager, CCing all staff. In it, she says that, while she accepts that the office kitchen had not been stocked while everyone was on lockdown, she is appalled that there is no bread, bagels, yogurts, etc. for the staff that have returned. Office manager replies, and CCing all staff,
"Karen, as a courtesy to staff, we provide free coffee, tea, milk, and sugar, all of which have been stocked. We have never provided free bread, bagels, yogurts, or other food. However, staff do keep personal food items in the refrigerator."
Oh, snap! However, I feel like that's an understandable mistake, something I would probably have done, but I'm curious as to how no one said anything or noticed, because that's embarrassing. Like, you'd have to be really good at navigating social situations to get out of that one unscathed. Woo! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.